So let's talk reishi. Reishi is a natural mushroom, completely legal, does not cause any type of alteration in your thoughts. And reishi is an anti-inflammatory. It's really, really great for symptoms of anxiety. If you also have high blood pressure, reishi is something really, really good that helps with blood pressure. We recommend this for people who are really needing to have additional focus. If you have sleep issues, anxiety issues, or blood pressure issues, check out reishi.
Hey, this is Katie Walker with Rethink with Revitalist on how we are changing the narrative of mental health. I'm excited to let you know that we are now doing something called 22 Raw, to where we sit down with veterans. We have 22 real-time conversations, raw video, raw verbiage, talking about real-time issues that veterans need to hear. So I hope you enjoy listening to all of these amazing leaders being vulnerable in this space, helping to make the change that's needed. Thanks for watching. Hi, this is Katie Walker with Rethink with Revitalist, and I am honored to be here with Dr. Stefanie Shaver as we were talking about how we're changing the narrative of mental health. So, Steph, thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your background. Which branch do you serve? And then, a little bit about your education background.
So I'm currently active duty Air Force. I'm Chief of Flight Medicine at Columbus Air Force Base. But it was definitely a different path for me to become a physician. So I started out more in the integrative field in my 20s. I was a neuromuscular therapist. I was exposed to a lot of alternative and integrative therapies in my 20s. Well, this prompted me to want to go ahead and go to med school. So I did. So I went to med school in my late 20s and went back to college, went to med school, did a family medicine residency, did a primary care sports medicine fellowship. And I actually joined the Air Force in 9/11. I joined the Air Force Reserve. So I've been in the military. I was in the military for about 12 years, had a private practice doing basically sports medicine for elite athletes. So that's where I learned how to integrate what I did before medical school, my knowledge of the body and body work, and the integrative side. Then I had the allopathic piece. Then I combined them in my own private practice called Integrative Sports Medicine and Wellness. And I did a lot of elite sports in the Atlanta area. And all the while I was a reservist drilling. And then in 2015, I was recruited to go active duty to be the team physician for Air Force Special Operations, starting with, it was called an EPIC project, Elite Performance Initiative Center, to start trying to get after integrating some of this in the Air Force. Our special operators are called the PJs. So I came in 2016 to do that, and kind of learned that our active duty military, the system that supports them, the regular med groups, don't really understand how I practice on the civilian side. And I noticed there's a real gap in how we cared for our military. And then I was lucky enough to, as I was trying to figure out the regular military medicine piece, I started doing Air Force Wounded Warrior. And that's where I really learned over the past 7 years the burden of mental health challenges in the military. I saw a lot of people with PTSD, head injuries, military sexual trauma, and all the females in my program. I mean, it really opened my eyes to the burden. Suicides. I mean, it was a great, wonderful learning. And I had the privilege to work Warrior Games, Invictus Games, and see the whole spectrum. So I've taken care of the special operators and then Wounded Warrior, and they all have a lot of mental health challenges. It's just different. And so my whole thing, how I got catalyzed into trying to get after things in my background, and just recently, we're all very aware of the problem of suicide, and it was always kind of out there for me. Yeah, it's terrible, the 22 a day you hear, and there's a huge mental health burden in the military that's just really pretty much just not recognized.
Overlooked, yeah.
And accepted to some extent because of the culture and because of the stigma that you shouldn't say anything.
Sure.
So a lot of the special operations, if they're struggling with mental health issues, they will not say anything because they're afraid of the repercussions, and we're just now starting to change that in SoCon, and we have a long way to go. But what happened to me is this spring, really February this year, 2024, I had a suicide close to me that really woke me up and punched me in the face. It was the spouse of one of my athletes from Invictus Games. And it really weighed on me. And at first it upset me, then it pissed me off. And I was like, what can I do? What should I do? You know, and how can I make a difference in this? So it just was laid upon me to build something called the Healing Hut, to get after the burden of stress, of this stress, the stress that will cause somebody to shoot themselves in the face. What is that? Right. Okay, this is personal to me now. And so I just combined all the best practices that are evidence-based, but we don't really see them in our allopathic model that's mostly pharmaceutical-based. So I brought the best things that I knew to stabilize the vagus nerve, to bring in that just the response of taking somebody who's upset, you know, feeling super stressed out at a high-level event like the Warrior Games, and bring them into balance and prove that I can in that stressful environment, and I did. We brought in acupuncture, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, frequency-specific microcurrent, tenant vagus nerve biomodulators, incredible myofascial therapists. I mean, I brought the A-team, brought it on the nonprofit side, stood it up, and miracles happened when we brought people's nervous system back into harmony.
That's right.
That's the key, and was so successful. Military Times did a video on it, the caring for the caregiver, the Healing Hut. And now there's such a high demand for it. It's probably what I'm going to turn to as where I'm going to take everything I've learned to get after this mental health burden that we have. And my piece is, how do I raise awareness? And we're now going to do a Healing Hut for the Invictus Games. Big event in Vancouver, 2025. Not only for Team US, but 25 partner nations who have their own burden of mental health problems, especially within our wounded warriors and the families. Can't forget the families. They're carrying the load. And expose high-level military leadership and everybody. Look, here's another way to do this. And then bridge them, once we get people's attention, look, we can do this through non-pharmaceutical ways.
Because their brain has everything it needs. You're still learning all these
How
things.
do I bring that nervous system into harmony? Because the body will, if you create the right environment. And I know how to do that. And we did it. And we measured it. But after the event, how do I bridge people who really need plant medicine, brain mapping with neurofeedback, transcranial magnetics, all the things we know, ketamine, the things that actually can return a broken military individual or their spouse from broken back to a meaningful, functional citizen. We need their experience. We need our military veterans to serve now in society instead of farming them out on 5 medications, psychotropic medications from the VA, and they don't want to live anymore, and then they all start drinking, and then, I mean, I've seen this way more that I care in all the communities that I still work with. The burden is unrecognized. It's starting to be. So that's me. Sorry, that was a long answer to a short question, but I am really on fire to get after this now. I'm done. I'm tired of the things that we're doing in the military that don't work. Our numbers are not getting better. If anybody's paying attention, our numbers are not, they're getting worse with our current system. I am galvanized to now move at a high level and take massive action to partner with, co-create with people who know we have something better to offer our veterans and their families and our active duty, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a piece of it, right? Because I always look at, universal laws of physics, and then also like the law of conservative energy. And it's like energy is not, created or destroyed, it's only transferred. And I picture picture a machine that's like sitting there and just churning, and it's so smooth and it's moving so fast you can't even see it. It's like that laminar flow, and versus if it gets off track just a touch,
then it's going to have so much more energy, but it's going to be, it's off track. Everything is like heating up, but it's not able to be as productive as it once was when it was in sync. And I think that's the beautiful thing, is like looking at Eastern and Western medicine and the true data that's unbiased data, because we want to have more of an effective system. And if we're able to bring these things together, like we can get that system back in alignment and get that person back empowered in who they are, so they actually feel like they're moving with themselves, not against themselves.
Yes. The healing systems, as opposed to our allopathic care model, which is symptoms-based and it's based on an acute infection model, has not evolved because, in my opinion, the pharmaceutical industry has a lockdown. I mean, the pharmaceutical industry funded my medical education, and it's not changing. Well, I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the pharmaceuticals, but not to the point where it suppresses healing therapies that really should be our primary offering.
Right.
Our primary offering, because the healing therapies are adaptogenic. You're too far to the left, they bring you to the right. So your body has the wisdom to heal itself. We just need to unburden it, not necessarily add. So when you add something like acupuncture and directed energy therapies and the wisdom of the plants, they don't force you one way or the other. They're adaptogenic. They bring you into where your body needs to go. And that's the difference, where instead of taking a drug, it's just going to force you down one direction.
This is everything, right?
Yeah. This is like, how do we enable the body to be supported, unburdened, to harmonize itself, because your body knows how to do that. That's why I feel like so many people are seeking this. I mean, every day when I'm in clinic, I have people asking me, what can I do? There's a high demand signal for this. And I think that's why there's so many organizations outside of the regular VA and military that are trying to meet this demand. And I think it's eventually going to move the needle and change the system to, first, let's offer people holistic harmonizing therapies. And then if we need to bring in a drug, or we need to bring in something more invasive or directive, yes, instead of starting with that and potentially dysregulating that person past the point. Listen, once somebody is on more than 2 or 3 medicines, we're out of the realm of science anyways.
100%.
None of that has been studied. None of that is FDA approved, but we do it anyways.
Yep.
Not understanding the complexity of what we're now doing to that body's chemistry. And then we see the burden of that. I mean, why are, what a second or third cause of death is, regular medicine, right? That's fact, but people don't really have that awareness. Why? I think because we're forcing the body out of its own capacity you just overwhelm the body's capacity. Not that they don't have their place, but I'll give an example. In Japan, they study a lot of botanical medicine, and if somebody gets cancer in Japan, yes, they will get very select chemotherapy, but they also get reishi mushroom.
Oh, yeah? I love Reishi's. You know what? I was mushroom is
very evidence-based.
His pain. He needed a total knee. His pain went away with Reishi's. Yes. Do you know how much data there is on Reishi mushroom?
I know. Oh, but why do we not look at, so we have selective evidence. Oh, it's not evidence-based. When's the last time you looked? So in our country, we cherry pick the evidence to support the narrative of allopathic medicine, ignoring the vast amount of evidence on reishi mushroom, or name it. It's out there. Directed energy therapies. There's a lot of evidence, but because it's not something that was in our reimbursable model, you're not exposed to that. And really, I feel we need to evolve we give the person their choice. Okay, you can do this, you can do this, you can do a combination, and hold space for that person. And the wisdom, the innate wisdom that patient had, relationship-based, and people can then choose. I want to do chemotherapy and mushroom therapy, or directed, or whatever. In Japan, they just do that. China probably does a lot of stuff I don't really know or understand, but we know for Japan, because all the evidence is there, and it's becoming more and more. We know, for example, cancer can't really grow unless you feed it a specific diet.
Right.
We know this. This is evidence-based.
And have you read about high-dose vitamin C infusions with cancers? How oxidizes the cell internally?
Yes. But do we see that in the cancer centers of America? So we have all this evidence.
It's illegal, actually, in Tennessee to give vitamin C for cancer.
Yeah. So what about the recent? So recently, the FDA, we wanted the FDA to approve the microdosing of MDMA, right?
Right.
And we're hoping with that the therapeutic use of that for refractory PTSD, aka suicide risk. I talked to my colleague, Dr. Bob Kaufman, who's just a legend in the field, and the FDA, this is just recent, did not approve that particular therapy because even though the evidence was robust compared to anything else you could do for refractory PTS, it was so like over 50% success rate, like some crazy numbers.
Yep.
You know why the FDA did not approve it? Even though absolutely we are showing that it could save a life. It didn't have the appropriate placebo.
Right. And how can you?
Well, you could. Yeah, there are ways, but so my point is that shouldn't be a reason to not withhold something that that's not going to harm anybody in a specific. So that's really what's going on.
And what they try to do too, though, which I was like, I don't know if you can necessarily do that. Like they tried to put the 6 hours of therapy, so 2 therapists, 6 hours of therapy with MDMA, present that to the FDA. And I'm like, that's like square peg, round hole. Like the FDA has no idea what therapy means. It's like speaking in another foreign language. They have no idea how to measure that. They don't know what it is, And actually, if you go back and you look at Spravato, the S-ketamine, right?
Yeah.
So like in the late 1990s with ketamine, Yale University accidentally discovered that. Janssen started in 2003 making S-ketamine. And then they got approved in 2013, and they just recently got an additional 10-year royalty on Spravato, which I had no idea how they did that.
Wow.
But they were smart enough to do it without therapy.
Yeah.
Because they probably knew the FDA doesn't know how to hear it. So now we need to figure out, like, how do we make a subsector in the FDA to say, okay, these drugs should all be with therapy, and we need to measure them with therapy.
Yeah, truth. Or for the love of God, switch to outcome-based.
Yes.
Our measure is the outcomes, because right now, our measure is not outcomes, because if our standard of care or our measure is this will create a good outcome, we would have a completely different system.
Yeah.
That's not how we have things approved. We have tons of randomized double-blind controlled studies, tons, that have not improved anybody's health.
Yep.
Not. Yet that's still our gold standard. Even though we've proven that does not move the needle, we still, our cancer is getting worse, heart disease, dementia.
And we're so smart.
And what about kids? Like every 1 in 2 kids now have a chronic medical diagnosis? Knock, knock. So I think it's going to take everybody to wake up and go, okay, system is the industrial health complex. It is a revenue business. It is not necessarily,
Well, and the FDA is a business model, right? It's not the creators, it's not the healers. It's like the business model, and now we've got to make an updated business model.
we have to. We have to in order to help save people. I think we're in the throes of it. I think it's going to be
I think so. I think we're going to look back and be part of the dollar, right? And we're going to be like, wow, we had no idea we were in that.
And it's the people, it's going to be communities, it's going to be the public. They're not going to force it. It is not going to change from the inside. It's a self-licking ice cream cone.
Well, and it's their own world. When I was in the hospital for 20 years, I'm like, yeah, we're good. And then anesthesia professional, I'm like, yeah, like I'm good, whatever. And I came out and I was like, I know nothing. This is like an outpatient ICU. Like I had no idea that our system was this broken because we're so protected in the hospital. It's like somebody gets a gunshot wound, you got all your 5 specialties, you're running the trauma code, whatever, that's fine. But then when you get out and you're like, you're on 19 medicines, you have 8 specialists, and you have 27 diagnoses. Who's advocating for you again? Well, I am, but when I give my doctor the paper that I feel like it's me, then the doctor will say, well, who went to medical school, you or me? Yeah. So now when I go to medical conferences, I'll say, guys, we are abusing people in this space, and we don't even know it.
Yeah.
They're their only advocate.
Well, it's how we're trained. I mean, 100%. I mean, first of all, yes, okay, initially, We have to have some compassion for the doctors and how they're trained. But once you're out practicing, I feel like you have a moral responsibility to notice what we're doing is not working, and to have the courage. You took the Hippocratic Oath. Now you have a choice, and I think more physicians, and I think the new generations are coming in. Well,
But too, we also like to take people's licenses.
our medical legal system. I was going to say, our medical legal makes the charge so very diverse. Yes, it's golden handcuffs, and you put them all in debt. Then we say this is the standard, and if you deviate, you're not going to fit in the tribe. But people do wake up, and they have to. And thank God for people like you and other brave people who are not traditionally, but modernly trained in our current healthcare system, that sees the suffering and the burden, and then it's not working. I find it a moral imperative to wake up and have the courage to speak your truth, and because that's the only way it's going to change, I think.
That's right.
We need to change.
Yeah.
So,
Well, there's a lot of
getting their ears
out there like you.
Yes, and also a lot of amazing patients, and our wounded warriors.
Absolutely.
And the spouses are pushing back now, like, we deserve better. We want something.
Not only do we deserve better, but hey, I did this. This saved my life. Why did I not know about this? 29 medications.
A lot of that.
Yes.
And
Which is amazing.
my goal for Healing Hut. Very high visibility at Warrior Games and beyond. We're going for it. So this platform, high-level military corporate, it's never even heard of this, sees it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's right. And once a veteran or a warrior comes up to you, or spouse go, General so-and-so, this just took me from 10 out of 10 pain to none. Why can't I get this at the VA? That's essentially what my role is. And then partner with people like you who understand what we're doing is not working. It has its place. Don't get me wrong. I am a physician.
Right.
Praise God for our current system. But more is always better. Yeah.
One pill doesn't work, 19 may not work either.
Yeah.
It's like, let's look at different interventions.
We need to hold ourselves accountable for that.
Yeah. So if people are trying to get in touch with the Healing Hut, what would that look like? Where would they go?
Well, the first thing it would do is they can just Google it in military times, Healing Hut, and it'll pop up a 3-minute video telling about it. But second is I'm currently creating a way for people. This is brand new. I just pulled this together 2 months. So I'm creating a nonprofit, kind of reverse engineering. It was not my intent. I'm not a nonprofit type person, but I'm creating a nonprofit, and then I'm creating a grid. And then once I get this built, then I will be going to all these types of events and plugging into and making a grid where working with other outreach groups, and then reaching back to active duty, people will be able to find the Healing Hut.
Okay.
And find you through the Healing Hut.
Yes,
my goal. Let's go and find the other thing through the Healing Hut. And that way I can take this person who's a unique, beautiful soul, who may not want to do, say, microdosing.
What do you want, and how do we
They really respond to transcranial magnetics and their brain map with we'll rewire and absolutely take your wounded soldier or airman or whoever and bring them back to life. That just fires me up and drives me. So anyhow, I don't really have any way yet, but it's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah. Thanks for helping get the word out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what would you say for a veteran who's struggling today? Give them a glimmer of hope.
Well, first of all, you're not alone. Pretty much everybody's struggling right now, the whole spectrum. Second, there are people around you who care. And there's a lot of really good organizations right now that you can reach out to that are being built specifically for that person who's struggling, that feels alone. There's a lot of organizations out there. Just Google anything and something's going to come up, and just start the ball rolling. Eventually you'll get to it. But to your point, sometimes it's very difficult to figure out where to start.
Sure.
That's where the Healing Hut's going to come in.
Yep.
Right? Where people can, okay, I'm ready to pop up, or I'm tired of being alone, or whatever, or the spouse can call, or that's really the problem is right now, people don't really have access to the thing they're seeking. But I truly believe in quantum physics, that which you were seeking is also seeking you. So I feel like energetically and frequency, that network is going to eventually and we're going to match all the individuals to it. It's just a matter of time. I think we're in the in-betweens.
Yep.
So that person would have to take a little bit of initiative, but it is out there and it is coming.
Well, thank you.
Anything you would add to that?
No, I love it. I
Okay.
think it acts. I think it's perfect. And I think that it's when you say you're not alone, there's a lot of leaders and warriors out there that are fighting for you right now.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, hang on just a little bit longer.
Yeah, just Google MCon, which is where we're at. If you just go online right now, if you're watching this and you put in MCon, which is where we are in Las Vegas, it's, the second annual where they're showcasing all of us who are trying to build something to care for, the military individual who served.
Yep.
And they're struggling in every way, whether it's financial, mental health, physical. Just Google. There's a resource here for you.
Yeah, we got your back.
Yep, it's out there.
Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Shaver.
You got it. It's a pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you for watching this episode. I hope that it brought you some insight and some impact into your life. For more on Revitalist, check out revitalist.com. Be sure to subscribe to this, as we are going to continue to change the narrative on mental health by bringing in a whole facet of groups in order to help address this global mental health crisis that we are all feeling. So thank you so much to the partners that were on this episode, and to get more information about them, please click on the links below.